Hello and welcome back to part 4 and the final part for now, I guess, of my redrawing League of Legends skins series. Whether I'm redrawing something because it's almost universally hated, or because it's a skin that didn't sell well, or because someone close to me asked me to, we're closing up this series with a very appropriate redrawing of a League of Legends skins that you asked me to do. Actually, I was specifically requested by the girlies and the gays to draw Vi, and I saved it for last because I really love Vi's character design. I knew that the design elements of this drawing and the colors would all come to me very naturally, and by the length of this video you can tell it did not take very long. In fact, it took me just under 3 hours to complete, which is quite short in terms of fully rendered drawings, at least for me. Since I wasn't requested to redraw a specific skin, I went and searched for the skin that would try and get the least number of people mad at me, and one skin I found pretty consistently on the bottom middle of tier lists was Debonair Vi. And I mean, I'm not going to say no to an excuse to draw a lady in a classy business formal attire situation. There are a lot of different reasons that people seem to dislike this particular Vi skin, although I think the main reason is because it's an older skin and it doesn't come with sparkly new animations or effects like a bunch of the newer skins do. For me, just looking at the image, there are two things that I really wanted to work on. Number one was the slicked back hair, and number two was this vest shirt situation. Well, neither of these are necessarily bad. For the hair, I just don't like the little rat tail coming off the back of her head. I'm sorry if you like it, but to me it's a little weird. I think it can be done, but I think for both the rat tail and the slick back hair, there are better ways to do that. Regarding the vest, I like the gold on the shoulders, but the whole outfit is sort of giving banquet server waitress, and you know, speaking as a waitress myself, I feel a little qualified to say that. That being said, the general concept is quite good. I just think we need to add a little spice. Now, a lot of Pinterest references went into this one, but I feel like I need to let you know that there are two very specific women that I always look up whenever I want to draw a muscular lady. The first is a Japanese female bodybuilding champion named Michiko Nishiwaki, and the second one, who I used for the base of this drawing, is the TikTok legend Lean Beef Patty. And I mean, look, if you're going to draw a strong muscular lady, how can you not use Lean Beef Patty as a reference? Blocking in the colors here, I immediately chose not to go with either the original color palette featured in the Debonair Vi splash art or the green, black, and white color palette that is used in more recent Debonair skin lines. I decided to go with red, black, white, and gold, which happened to be a little bit more in alignment with her arcane skin, and I personally really like that color palette on her. I think it suits her very well, and it was definitely 100% totally intentionally done, and this wasn't a color palette that I happened to choose because I procrastinated drawing this skin for so long and for no good reason, because I have recently gotten into playing V Rising, and all I do as soon as I get home from work is be a vampire and build cool castles, and you know, playing that game definitely hasn't made me want to draw a ton of lady vampires for the next year and a half or anything like that. If you haven't gotten the vibe that I loved working on this drawing, let me just confirm that verbally out loud. I adored working on this drawing. There are just a lot of aspects that I really truly love about it, from the color palette to the clothing with lots of different kinds of fabric and pleating. I got to include gems and gold jewelry, which you know I love to do, and even though I had to render metal kind of mech-like gauntlets, I still had a good time. Every once in a while I get to a series of drawings that just make me feel like I've advanced so much in terms of art, and I think this cosmetic series really has done that a lot for me. This drawing, more than any of the other drawings I made for this mini-series, really felt like my own in terms of style and rendering, but I also got to add a lot of the things that I learned from working on the other 3 drawings. I took a lot of time to add little details, really pushing to have those very dark shadows, even if I still won't commit to using a pure black in the shadows. And also, instead of painstakingly rendering every single detail, I managed to leave quite a bit of the drawing as implied or just very loosely rendered. And that's something I really struggle with over rendering. And there's just a lot to love about this drawing as a whole, but I think what I love most is that it feels like something I would draw in a style that I'm comfortable working in. Oh boy, here I go rendering hair, and you know what I have to say about that. It is such a pain to get it to look how I want it to look. Even if it was a little tedious to get everything just so, I really like this style choice. I think the pushback and messy hair is much better than the perfect pompadour that is featured in the original drawing. I've been told that the key to fashion is to have everything very incredibly put together and then to have one thing that is a little messy or underdressed. Now, not that I know anything at all about fashion, like, you know, if you watch my sewing videos and you see anything I wear in them, it'll be very obvious to you that my strategy for fashion is wear black and then tuck your shirt in, but we have fun here. When constructing her face, I went for a much more square look, and then I also used a lot of features that are found in Arcane Vi rather than game Vi. I made the little number 6 tattoo a lot smaller on her cheek. I also gave her the scars that are seen in her character model from the animated series. And of course, it goes without saying, I love the art style that is used in Arcane. In general, I really like the move away from realism to a more stylistic animation and character design. We see it in Arcane, Into the Spider-Verse, Puss in Boots. It's all gorgeous. I'm so glad that this is the direction that animation is going. I know a ton of people share that sentiment with me, but you know what? It deserves to be said again and again. I do think it's quite funny how blatantly obvious it is which part of this drawing I'm actively avoiding. It's like, oh yeah, let's render the face and the skin and all the clothing and the hair and the jewelry and the little frills. Oh man, you know what could use more rendering? The frills again, because I really don't want to touch the gauntlets. Obviously, I do render them in eventually, but I'm still very tired of rendering mechs, so I don't think I did as good of a job as I could have done. But also, number 1, it's hands, number 2, it's mech, and number 3, I didn't do a great job of positioning either of the hands in such a way that you get to see a lot of the decorative aspects of the gauntlets, which would be seen usually on the back of the hand or the wrist. I do still manage to have a little fun with the knuckles and adding some little red gems, so it's not too plain. Also, if you're worried about the rose on her lapel that I completely forgot to render, don't worry, it comes back in at the end. After the gauntlets, we move on to what has weirdly become my favorite part of the drawing. My usual drawings rarely have rendered backgrounds, so I never really get to think of what shapes I want behind the character, but I also don't really do a lot of character drawings that involve a lot of dramatic lighting. So with these League of Legends drawings, I have been really leaning into filter layers. As a result of messing with a ton of layers, I did at one point accidentally delete the layer that I drew the character on, which, holy moly, thank goodness for whoever invented the undo feature, because I think I would have died on the spot if this drawing got deleted just as I was finishing it. But back to layers, I actually duplicated the layer that had Vi on it and then set it to multiply, which creates a sort of warm saturated shadow. And then I blurred that layer a little bit and erased parts to create some softer shadows and also very sharp light contrast. Also, to get that sort of glowy aspect around the character's back and shoulders, I used a good old color dodge layer with a soft brush. Again, lighting is just not something I really get to think about a lot of the time. Duplicating the character design, increasing the saturation using the multiply layer, that's never a technique I've used before, but I think it worked really great in this case. I would highly recommend it, but I already know that there are people out there who think I'm crazy for doing all of my drawings on a single layer instead of multiple layers, so, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, here she is. Debonair Vi, oops, she's a very vampire-coded edition. Almost everyone I showed this picture to when I was asking for thoughts and opinions said, wow, how could you have possibly made Vi even more fashionably lesbian than she already is? To which I have to genuinely say, I have no idea. I am a woman married to a man, and I have no grounds or experience for this. I just wanted to draw and have a good time, but I mean, hey, some of y'all out there, you guys are some stylish folks, so I accept the compliment. I certainly am super happy with how this came out. Also, shout out / call out to Somewhat Chaotic Squid God. I see you in the comments, and I need you to know that this is your fault that I drew Vi, and it's your fault that I had such a good time doing it. So if you like this video, everyone say thank you, Somewhat Chaotic Squid God, for the Vi request. All that being said, we have come to the end of the video and to the end of this redrawing League of Legends skin series. I had a great time, even though I'm pretty excited to get back to working on my usual, more D&D fantasy related content. I will miss working on these a little bit. Maybe I could include them from time to time down the line if I got some requests or had more ideas, but who knows? not me.